Welcome, community. My name is Rick. These are the Dreadful Minutes. So this will be a contest video for Matt at the Dark Path. So his channel got to 1,000 subscribers, and he decided to go with a contest. Some of you may have already seen some of the entries already, considering this is going to be a buzzer beater entry. So I don't expect to win. That's fine. I thought it'd make for a fun video anyway. Just kind of a reason to pull out some stuff that I have no other reason to show, maybe for just the rules of this contest. So Matt wanted, as you can see from the title of this video, a nice pair. So that would be show two albums that go well together. Now, the context behind that may be interpreted differently, but Matt showed some examples, and so did other YouTubers. So basically, it will be albums that will be a good listens together in some form or another, whether it's in a particular situation, something musically, I don't know. So I will show some examples, and I will be doing it kind of like this. So it would be, I'm going to start with the metal stuff first, and then maybe some rock in the middle, and then yes, I'm going to move to rap, hip-hop. Believe it or not, then this will give you guys who are just metal nuts an opportunity to kind of skip out if that's not something you're interested in. But it might be fun. Stick around anyway. You might learn a thing or two, you know. So, Matt, congratulations on 1,000. I did mention that previously when you first hit 1,000. I think you just started the contest. But, you know, make it official. So it's pretty cool. It's very well deserved. Matt, I think, does very unique things with his channel, and you know, he's known as the deep dive guy. He's a deep guy, right? So interpret that how you will, but I like watching his videos, and I do enjoy the way he, doesn't just do the conventional only collection update kind of stuff. He tries to kind of do things with his channel involving other kind of material that maybe not everybody is talking about or showing in particular. And when he really likes an artist, he really likes an artist, and you can really tell through his channel. So a very flexible guy when it comes to music. So really cool dude. So I know he's in the progress of moving and all that stuff. So I hope it all goes well, and I can't wait to see what his new setup is going to be like. Maybe he'll have new flags. So congratulations, Matt. So let's get on with it. Okay, so first up, let's start with some death metal, death grind bands. So these will be familiar to some of you. At least one of these bands will. So the first one is going to be Carcass, and that is Symphonies of Sickness. This is their second album. Came out in 1989. And the other one is a band from Germany who also plays kind of in that vein. They've actually been around a long time. So this will be Blood, and the album is Christbait. So let me explain. This is actually a slipcase, so let me show you the real color. There you go. Sorry, the camera's kind of weird. Okay, so Carcass, Symphonies of Sickness, Blood, Christbait. Why did I choose these? So these are both actually second full lengths. Like I mentioned, so these bands have been around a long time, since the mid to late 80s, and they put out a series of demos, and eventually they got off the ground and was able to pull out some stuff. The reason I picked these two albums is because, well, if you go to their debut and like Break Up Putrefaction and Bloodford's album, it's not as accessible. And it's very much, if you're trying to get somebody into death grind, it's not probably the best way to, lean in. It was very harsh for me too in the very beginning. I still have a hard time with Break Up Putrefaction. It's an album that's would cause a lot of spins to really begin to understand it. But the reason I chose these two albums is because I think after those debuts, they really honed in their sound, or there were elements where you can begin to hear where they got sort of more comfortable with the way they do the riffing and transitions and melodies, and the production was much better too. And that was a big one. The production on the first albums of these two bands is quite raw, and it's something that I appreciate now. But it again took me a long time. But these two albums I loved right away. So Blood Christbait has those twists and turns, along with this Carcass album. So this is before Michael Abbott joined the band. I think with the one after that. So again, I thought these two picks will go very well. So if you already know this album and you have not checked out Blood yet, I think after this spin and you put this one right after, I think you would enjoy it just the same. So both very good bands, and I feel like once they hit their second go round, they really found their stride, and this shit just became very catchy, and it was not such a what you call intense entry like the way it was the first time. So I'll stop rambling. Let's get on to the next one. So continuing on with the grind theme, here we have UK band, just like Carcass was and is, Napalm Death's Scum. This came out in 1987. And over on the other side of the pond, we have Terrorizer, World Downfall. So this is a Morrisound Scott Burns deal. And this was released in '89 and very classic in the US grindcore circuit. Both these albums are landmark debuts. So interestingly enough, being that Bill Steer was involved with, is involved in Carcass, and then he was involved on at least the second part of the album on the tracks with these doing guitar. So it's kind of interesting how it kind of steered in that direction. So anyway, so both these albums had issues, getting the lineup straight and everything else. And I know that a lot of you know the story behind this, and another Carcass tie-in is interesting is that Jeff Walker, vocalist for Carcass, did the artwork for the cover of this, interestingly enough. So very nice tie-in there. But we're talking about pairs here. So these two, sonically, I think you would have no problem putting either of these side by side, considering they're from the similar era, early on in the dawning renaissance of the grindcore scene, even though it was happening on two different parts of the world. This right here is the famous grindcore album that has half of Morbid Angel. So we got Pete Sandoval, needs no introduction. So the drumming here is killer. And then you have Dave Vincent, who filled in for bass, because I think the fellow who was supposed to be playing bass on this ended up getting locked up or something. So he's not credited on here. But here we have Jesse Pentato on lead, and Oscar Garcia on vocals. So yeah, man, good stuff. So again, two landmark albums. I know that Mick Harris, another really good drummer who played on this, is the only really consistent member I think that played on both sides. Everybody else, different vocalists, everything with this. So Mick Harris eventually left the Napalm Death, and then another fellow named Mitch Harris took over for guitar after he left. But both Mick and Mitch Harris, who are not related, even though they share the same last name, kind of like the Coreys, right? They're both Coreys, but they're not really related, as you all know. So Mick and Mitch were involved in the grindcore album. I could have easily included with these. Unfortunately, it's a pair video. But Defecation's Purity Dilution, who were both involved in Napalm Death, at some point, did this grindcore album together, which is another landmark one that nobody seems to be talking about. But these two are quite known in the metal circuit, very well known. So I thought there'd be a good demonstration for a pairing. So that is my grind. Okay, so I have two bands here, and I am not sure when the recordings were happening if they were aware of each other, but so these two bands are Ancient, and this release is Voice of the Void. Came out in 2016, I want to say. And the other band is Pan from Michigan, US, the Boreal Coast. And this dropped in, I want to say, 2018. So, very cool. I was happy to get this. I got it at the Barn Room store. And this right here, really nice gatefold. I love all their artwork. You know, they do some really interesting stuff. So both are progressive death doom, I guess you could say, a more progressive in the way they do the riffing and stuff. Now, why do I say this? And why did I mention if they were aware of each other? Because they both conjure up the old spirit of Opeth on here. They may hate that comparison. I don't know if they were consciously doing that, but you can definitely hear the influence in there. So, remember when Opeth did metal? Yeah, I love those years. So I bring these up because if you missed those days, this will fit the bill. I'm not saying these sound exactly like Opeth, but you could definitely hear the essence in there. So this will scratch that itch if you want that classic Opeth in there. I think that Ancients goes for more of that sort of moments of clean singing, an harmony going on with the vocals. And whereas Pan kind of sticks more or less with the harsh vocals, that is very dominated by that. And they don't sound Swedish. So when you're listening to this, that's another thing that's really cool about these two albums is they don't, you put it on, you're like, oh, well, clearly they're ripping off a Swedish band or like that. Not at all. They sound like something you would kind of, I wouldn't say pinpoint from the respective countries, but you definitely get a essence of they have their own thing happening too, while at the same time, satisfying those who do enjoy the older Opeth back in their metal heyday. So, Ancients, What's the Void, this is their second album, I want to say. The Heart of Oak was the first one. And Pan has had, I think, two releases before this one. This is the latest one they dropped, so I'm hoping they drop something soon. But, hey, definitely check it out. If that's your thing, you like progressive death, this will definitely fit the bill yet again. Okay, so let's move on to some rock with a punk past. So here we have Billy Idol with Rebel Yell. This is his second full length. And here we have Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. As you all know, I thought that was a scribble. It kind of is, but that's actually part of this cover has seen better days. So this is I Love Rock and Roll. So, dead giveaway. So this is Joan Jett with the Blackhearts, who you can see right here. So if you ever watched that video, so, she's coming from the Runaways from the 70s. Billy Idol, as you all know, Generation X from the UK. We got the Americans from the other side. So what's interesting is that, these are two artists that are trying to take their angsty, sort of that teenage angst and moving it over to the 80s into their adulthood and kind of trying to cash in with that due to their reputation or bad reputation. So however you want to interpret that. So anyway, these two, I think that in the early 80s, if you were around old enough to have listened to these albums when they were still new, these were the kind of, they had the landmark hits that you would put another dime in the jukebox. So, I Love Rock and Roll and Rebel Yell, it's catchy as shit. So, Billy did not have his sort of famous respective band like the Blackhearts. He had Mr. Steve Stevens over here. And, the sound, yes, it's dated. It's got a chart for its time period. And they shed their punky sound for more of a rock direction, these two. And I think that you could enjoy, if you're already into this kind of thing, side by side. Joan Jett went more of the sort of more straight rock direction, whereas Billy Idol still had more of that new wave kind of sound, along with a lot of the interesting melodic playing that Steve Stevens had. Yeah, ironically, looking at this and it says "Eyes Without a Face." That was another huge hit on this album. And here I see Billy with a face but with no eyes. What's up with that, Billy? Let's clear something up. So, Rebel Yell. Now, everybody hears, in the midnight hour, she cried more and more and more. But that's not what I hear. So let me set the record straight. I think it's, in the midnight owl, she cried, mo, mo, mo. Go back and listen to it. You'll see what I'm talking about. So, Billy Idol and Joan Jett. So, I don't know how well his fans back in the 80s received him. I was still wearing diapers when this came out. And, you know, kind of shedding that raw, punky sound. So, you know, moving over to this. So these two artists thrived in the 80s very well. They kind of lost that over time. Obviously, you know, along with a lot of other artists who kind of try to stay relevant, you know, along with everything. But they still have their legacy pretty much cemented. So, Billy Idol, Joan Jett. Okay, we're at a point now where I'm done with the rock and metal, so I'm going to move to some hip-hop. I'm going to try to keep this kind of interesting, so some of you may tune out anyway at this point. I'll check the Google Analytics and I'll know. I know who you are. Anyway, so guys like Dennis from Analog Archives showed some rap and hip-hop, which I'm like, oh, okay, so, you know, I can do that. Kellen from Killing for Company, another one with a good channel, and he showed you know, stuff like D'Angelo and you know, Outkast. So I'm like, shit, dude, like, all right, let's do it. So here's my take. So in the early 90s, there was a little movement called alternative rap, and we were starting to think of that gangster rap era. So Tupac, Biggie, you know, Ice Cube, all that shit was just, you know, that was the thing. You know, everybody wanted the hard stuff, right? Everybody wanted MC Light, and they wanted, you know, whatever was hard and tough. And then came these guys. So by alternative rap, I'm going to go with more in the jazz direction. So we have Digable Planets. So both these albums that I'm going to show came out in the same year, interestingly enough, 1993. So this album here is Reaching a New Refutation of Time and Space. It's got 3 members. Really cool. And the other one is, it had the one mega hit you probably heard on the radio at the time. You might hear it still on the radio today, but I think this band is much grander than their one hit may imply. So that is Us 3. And this is their debut album, Hand on the Torch. This was definitely falls more jazzy than Digable Planets did. Another dead giveaways. This came out through Blue Note. And another cool tie-in is that Us 3 is the name of a Horace Parlan album. Legendary artist from back in the 50s, 60s, who had his album called Us 3, produced by Alfred Lion, you know, the founder of Blue Note Records. So, very, very cool. Yes. So, jazzy hip-hop. Literally jazzy. And these guys do it in a way that has a lot of hooks. Really cool. Very interesting. So even if... The reason I'm showing this first, before what I'm going to show next, as far as the pair, is because alternative rap, again, you're not into, you know, gangster rap, even the mumble shit that's going on today. And you just don't want something that's sort of a little catchy, different, interesting. This is definitely interesting. I think this will get anybody's head moved. I mean, this one had, you know, the breakout hit, Rebirth of Slick, right? Cool like that. Very, very good video. Very interesting, jazzy rap. And it's very poetic. That's what I love about these. It's more apparent how poetic it is than your standard fare kind of hip-hop was. Wasn't trying to be this sort of machine gunnery kind of thing. You know, you can call yourself Machine Gun Kelly all you want, but you're nowhere near like the real guy. Okay, so Hand on the Torch. This is the first album. This is the one with Cantaloupe, Flip Fantasia. You know, it's got all the trumpets and stuff going on. Really cool. But like I said, this band is much more than that. They're still kicking around today. I don't know if there's still just 3 members. I can never call us 3 because it was the 3 members and named after that album. And my favorite track here was Tuka's Youth's Ridden. Very, very good song. So, jazzy hip hop. Did not know it exists? Now you do. So, Digable Planets, us 3. I don't think they're on Blue Note anymore. But, you know, good for when they were there. Check it out. Okay, so these last 2, I'm gonna go from what we call alternative rap or alternative hip hop to the more conventional stuff that you might know. So these are more 90s releases, and one's gonna be very familiar, and the other one maybe not very much so, but you just still check it out. So I don't know what to call it. I guess I'll call it Paisano rap, and this is why. So we have, yes, House of Pain, with 5 mod lyrics. So this is their first album, and also we have the Lords of Brooklyn, All in the Family. So we got the Irish crew here, we got the Italian crew here. So when did this come out? 1992, and this was 1995. I thought it was earlier than that. Shit. Okay. Anyway, these 2 have connections. I know they did a single together called Lake of Fire. The Meat Puppet song. They didn't literally rip every lyric off. They kind of changed it around, but you can still tell it's that song. So I think it was Lords of Brooklyn with Everlast. So that came out like in 2004. Anyway, let's circle back. So these 2, now, despite what you might know, because you're looking at this, you're going, oh yeah, these are the jump around guys. So, you know, it's wearing the Boston Celtics, Everlast anyway, I think, wearing the Boston Celtics jersey. And even though they're from LA, you know, so they're not from Boston at all. I guess it was just fitting with the theme and all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I remember in the 90s when everybody, you know, it's like, you like pirates, right? So you wore the LA Raiders, you know. That's how far back I can go back. I'm calling them LA Raiders. So, hey, Kerry King can do it. So, anyway, so this right here, let's start with House of Pain. So House of Pain, now, you know, we got 3 members, right? We got DJ Lethal. DJ Lethal went on to join that after House of Pain disbanded with that other group. He who should not be mentioned. So, yeah, and then we got Danny Boy, right? Everlast goes before House of Pain. Everlast has collaborated with Ice-T, you know, and those guys back in the day. So, you know, he's one of the OGs, man. He's been around for a long time doing this. I don't think he does much rap anymore. You know, I know he put out that bluesy album and whatnot, Whitey Ford, I think it was. You know, so if you've seen Everlast lately, he kind of looks like Colonel Sanders, weirdly enough. Seriously, look it up. So this right here, known for the breakout hit for Jump Around. Interestingly enough, so these 2 right here, you know, hitting their heritage kind of hard, even though they're not all fully Italian. They got to mix a bunch of other stuff along with Lords of Brooklyn. They're not all fully Italian. They got some Scotland and a bunch of other stuff. So, you know, this definitely harkens back to that day in the time in the 90s, you know, when everybody was doing the gangster rap thing, but people wanted something a little different, a little more accessible, especially for a certain kind of ethnic group that was more friendly to the radio, I guess you could say, more or less. But it still got a lot of vulgarity, you know, so, you know. All right, so, story with Jump Around. We all know that song. We've heard it a million times. It's been on 1,000 compilations. So that song was actually conjured up by DJ Muggs. You know, yes, Cypress Hill. You know, that's the I could have went Latino with this one. But DJ Muggs came up with Jump Around, or at least was working on a draft of it, and was shopping it around to the Cypress Hill guys. And the Cypress Hill guys are like, Jump Around. You know, like, they felt it was a little redundant. It's like, when we go to shows, people are going to be jumping around anyway. You know, why the hell were we going to call a song Jump Around? It's just stupid. So, and Sandog was like, and I remember reading in an interview, he was like, dude, the only time I ever came up with creative block, writer's block, when it came to come up with anything with lyrics, was that freaking song DJ Muggs was trying to, you know, shop around to me. And they decided to give up on it. And they go, you know what? Let's give it to those House of Pain guys. And they took it. A little, you know, history was made. and this was their defining hits. And I'm sure these guys don't want to talk about that song ever again. You know, even though it kind of made them a household name. I remember when that first dropped, you know, when I was back in like middle school or something, you know, maybe it was elementary school, I don't remember. But shit, man, I remember really wanting the CD. You know what I mean? It's like, shit, man, it's like that Jump Around song, you know. And then you had, I mean, you got 18 tracks here. Well, yeah, so this is more than just that track. But this is the one people will remember them for. Now let's move on to Lords of Brooklyn. So Lords of Brooklyn, right here, you know, they keep that sort of hard-hitting thing. You know, I think the production value is actually not that far off. I mean, yeah, this is put up by Tommy Boy, and this was put up by American. So, you know, they were hitting the trends at the time, you know, and what the sound was, it was like, again, it sounds very 90s. You know, there's no mistaking about it. So Lords of Brooklyn, I think are still kicking around today. Though they don't do this kind of style of rap anymore. They went more of a rock direction. But oh man, so if you do know this, and I'm showing this right now, you're gonna go Saturday Night Fever. That was the song. That's the very first track here. Yeah. So these guys make no, they're not shy about their Italian heritage. And you watch that video, Saturday Night Fever, it's Italian as shit. I watch it, I just, you know, I'm shitting spaghetti meatballs. That song, it's kind of I don't know. It makes it. Something tells me I should turn away when I watch it, but I still want to keep watching it. Like it's so silly. I can't tell if they're being serious or not, but it's still very entertaining, and I think you should check it out anyway. So you know, we got House of Pain, Lords of Brooklyn. You know, we got some of that Paisano rap. You know, these guys are, you know, you should be in your collection. You got some rap, shit, good shit. So hold on, I hear the doorbell. Be right back. Ooh, pizza's here. So I ordered a pie, and I got interrupted during the making of this video. So this pie came all the way from Brooklyn. So this is Lords of Brooklyn pizza, believe it or not. Really, really cool. And with every order, I really love this shop. So you get a free 12-inch single of Saturday Night Fever, along with this pie. Very, very, very cool. Anchovies. Come on, guys. But, yeah, so they put out a single for that song, and I thought it was very clever. So when I said Italian as shit, I wasn't joking. So, there you go. House of Pain, Lords of Brooklyn. So that is my entry. It's been fun. I hope you all had fun with me. And, you know, check out some of these releases. Check them out in the pairs that they were shown with accordingly. And I think that they'll be just as enjoyable alongside each other. So, Matt, congratulations, dude. You know, I wish you 1,000 more. Catch up with Marty and those guys, you know. As long as they're not putting out videos all the time, and you are, I can definitely see that happening sooner than later. Alright, so keep it dreadful, and catch you on the next one.